You think female desire is some mysterious force men can't comprehend? Please, women's lust isn't complicated. It's just been systematically repressed, pathologized, and stuffed into socially acceptable little boxes for centuries. Let's start with the biggest lie society tells about women's sexuality, that it's secondary to men's, that women are these delicate creatures who only crave emotional connection, while men are the primal beasts. Absolute nonsense. The vibrator was invented in the 1880s because female hysteria, the diagnosis doctors gave women for wanting sexual pleasure, was such an epidemic they needed mechanical solutions. Fast forward to today, where romance novels, overwhelmingly written by and for women, make up a $1.4 billion industry full of the most graphic, violent, taboo fantasies you can imagine. But sure, women don't think about sex as much as men. Right. Carl Jung understood this dichotomy better than anyone. He saw how the feminine persona, the good girl archetype society forces on women, directly conflicts with their shadow self. That shadow contains everything a woman is shamed for wanting: raw sexual power, aggressive desire, taboo fantasies. Modern women haven't escaped this repression, they've just found more creative ways to hide it. Take the wellness industry. What is all this goddess worship, moon cycle tracking, and sacred feminine nonsense, if not sexual energy being redirected into acceptable spiritual channels? A woman buying her 10th crystal while pretending she doesn't masturbate is the modern equivalent of a Victorian housewife having nervous fits that required pelvic massages. The packaging changed, the repression didn't. Consider the sheer cognitive dissonance in how women consume erotica versus how they present themselves publicly. Book clubs will dissect the literary merits of 50 Shades while carefully avoiding why it sold 100 million copies. Women write entire dissertations on the symbolism in Twilight, while pretending the appeal isn't Edward's controlling behavior. This is classic shadow projection. What Jung called the disowned parts of ourselves we attack in others. The women most vocal about self-respect in relationships are often the ones with the most graphic private fantasies. The ones who shame sluts have the dirtiest search histories. Why? Because repression always leaks, always. The romance novel industry understands female desire better than psychologists. Why do dark romance books with morally bankrupt male leads dominate the charts? Because they allow women to explore taboos safely. The billionaire who kidnaps the heroine, the mafia boss with a body count, the vampire who says mine like it's a threat. These aren't fantasies about love. They're about surrender to overwhelming masculine energy. Jung would recognize this immediately as animus possession, the repressed masculine energy in women that manifests as either domination fantasies or attraction to dangerous men. Modern women pretend these are guilty pleasures because admitting the truth, that they want to be taken, claimed, even frightened, would shatter the carefully constructed persona of the independent, always in control woman. This cognitive dissonance reaches comic levels in dating. The cool girl who claims she doesn't care when a man ghosts her, then analyzes his last text like the Zapruder film. The feminist who says she'd never change for a man, until she's 3 weeks into talking to some guy and suddenly gets into football, whiskey, and whatever band t-shirt he's wearing. This isn't hypocrisy, it's the shadow self, forcing its way through the cracks of the persona. Jung warned that the more we suppress parts of ourselves, the more they control us from the unconscious. When a woman says, "I don't do casual sex," then has a one-night stand, she's not being fake. She's experiencing the shadow-breaking containment. Nowhere is this repression more obvious than in how women discuss their own pleasure. The lie of the vaginal orgasm, the fake moans, the pretending not to masturbate. Jung would see this as the ultimate expression of feminine self-alienation. Women so divorced from their bodies, they can't even admit what feels good. The entire wellness industry preys on this. Yoga classes promising to awaken feminine energy while ignoring the clitoris. Meditation retreats to find yourself, instead of just admitting you want to get laid. The sheer volume of products aimed at making women smell, taste, and look acceptable for male consumption reveals how thoroughly women have internalized the male gaze as their own standard. What does this mean in practice? That most women are walking around with what Jung called a possession, their shadow selves leaking out in unhealthy ways. The woman who dates emotionally unavailable men because admitting she wants commitment feels needy. The one who performs sexual liberation on Instagram but can't ask for what she wants in bed. The feminist who says she hates porn but has a Kindle full of mafia romance. This isn't deception, it's dissociation. When society tells women their natural desires are shameful, they don't stop having them. They just create elaborate systems of denial. The solution isn't more repression disguised as empowerment. It's shadow work, what Jung called integrating the disowned parts of ourselves. For women, this means admitting uncomfortable truths, that you might like being chased, that you sometimes fantasize about being overpowered, that your healing journey might just be sexual frustration in spiritual drag. Real liberation isn't about performing empowerment, it's about ruthless self-honesty. Until women make peace with their shadows, they'll keep being controlled by them. The choice is simple: continue the performance or meet yourself in the dark.